Wearing the song, Birds Full of Four Courtyards, Lin Tianhao, with his dark belly, embarked on a different path in that special era without systematic training. The protagonist is a sweet-mouthed and ruthless black-bellied person who is well versed in the art of thick black, with a smiling faceSpace must be possessed, Lingtian 1000 acres, standard configuration. What kind of ghost is a safe house? Using him to prevent theft. Not enough beautiful women, go to Zhengyang Gate to find them, not enough, let Silly Spring introduce you. Chapter 1. Non-Adjustment System. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Brain VIP storage space, with a certain chance of activating the possibility of the host crossing, in October 1964, number 95 Nanluoga Lane, backyard. Yu Fang saw no one around and tiptoed to the west-ear room. Pushing the door open and entering the room, Lin Tianhao was already lying in bed waiting, coming so late. As Yu Fang unbuttoned herself, she spoke up, "My friend hasn't left yet, so it's inconvenient to come out." Lin Tianhao jumped off the bed and came to Yu Fang's eyes. Yu Fang was so scared that she jumped off Lin Tianhao. I saw Lin Tianhao foaming at the mouth and convulsing all over, as if he had lost consciousness. Number 34, Lin Tianhao, what's wrong with you? Number 34, Yu Fang shouted in panic, ignoring the need to put on clothes. Lin Tianhao suddenly opened his eyes and looked around in confusion, looking at Yu Fang by the bed. His eyes lit up and he became energized. Yu Fang saw Lin Tianhao wake up, let out a long sigh, quickly put on his clothes, didn't say hello, and ran out in a hurry. What is the situation? Have you had a spring dream? Although Lin Tianhao read countless movies in his past life, he understood everything he knew. The difference between what he saw on the screen and what he saw on the spot was significant, as evidenced by his younger brother. At this moment, a memory came to mind. The original owner of this body, also known as Lin Tianhao, was 20 years old. 2 years ago, his father and Qin Huairu's husband Jia Dongshu died on duty together, so his son inherited his father's business and came to the 3 rolling steel plant to become an apprentice electrician. Due to her handsome appearance and being single, as well as having several hundred yuan in funeral expenses on hand, Yu Fang, whose child is already 2 years old, became entangled. As the saying goes, a woman chases a man through a veil, so the two of them got together. Today, due to their consecutive appearances, they were severely overdrawn time-traveled. Qin Huairu. This is a courtyard full of emotions. I fell into the pile of animals. After receiving the memory, Lin Tianhao stood up from the bed and walked to the mirror. In the mirror, he saw himself with a young face, a tall and straight figure, short black hair, distinct facial features, soared eyebrows and stars. Apart from a slightly pale face, overall, he was very handsome. However, in the mirror, Lin Tianhao saw a door on the opposite wall, with a booklet hanging on it. The content of the booklet is very simple. The room is called a hidden room, and the food in the room is refreshed daily. He instinctively walked over, pushed open the door, and was immediately stunned by the scene before him. The room was extremely luxurious, with everything available. Open the refrigerator, it is full and there are still a lot of snacks piled up on the ground. It seems that there is no problem with it being delicious and delicious. Leaving the secluded room, I saw that my small room had instantly lost its fragrance. Although it was still relatively clean and tidy, the furniture had traces of a certain era. As an antique, it was still acceptable for me to use, and it felt a bit awkward. Since it's here, let's settle for it. By the way, what about the standard configuration for travel? The system has been loaded. Congratulations on obtaining this system among thousands of people. With the blessing of this system, you will be here day, earth, day, and air. Why does it sound a bit out of tune? Lin Tianhao muttered softly. Hey, young man, be more confident and remove a bit. My name is not adjusting the system. There should be applause here. Lin Tianhao clung to his head in silence, all traveling through time. Why was he so unlucky? However, in the end, he still asked. Do you have any beginner gift packages? Of course there is, this is a beginner's gift package. After the system finished speaking, a blue small pill appeared in front of Lin Tianhao. Lin Tianhao looked at the blue pill in front of him and asked with some confusion. What is this? Is it the legendary Viagra? This is a powerful pill, it will greatly increase strength after taking it. The system seems to be dissatisfied with the host of this soil bun. Lin Tianhao smiled slightly disappointed, better than nothing. This is to help you adapt to this world. You are too thin and weak now, and your physical strength is not as good as that of a woman. The tone of the system carries a hint of hatred and disdain. Looking at the blue small pill in front of him, Lin Tianhao no longer hesitated and swallowed the powerful pill in one gulp, remembering the way he had been tormented by Fang just now. As soon as he swallowed it, Lin Tianhao felt a stream of heat rising from his lower abdomen, instantly spreading throughout his body, and his body became scorching hot. Number 34, it's so hot. Number 34, Lin Tianhao couldn't help but moan out loud. Number 34, don't shout nonsense. This is where the powerful pill is working, transforming your body and making you stronger. Number 34, the sound of the system echoed in Lin Tianhao's mind. Lin Tianhao suppressed his discomfort and felt his muscles becoming stronger and his strength constantly increasing. I suddenly realized that I hadn't put on my clothes yet, so I quickly went back to the bed and picked up the clothes that were thrown down on the ground. Alas, it was really tacky. The red shorts are already worn out and not only have balls, but also a patch. The vest is also white, and it looks like it has been worn for a long time, almost becoming transparent. And the coat was a dark blue linen work uniform, as if it had emerged from a period drama. Even beggars dressed better before crossing over. Nevertheless, he quickly put on these clothes. System, are there any rewards for mixing up tasks? Otherwise, I won't be able to get around in this pile of beasts. Lin Tianhao remembered the novels he had read in his past life. Generally, travelers would reward him with 1,000 to 800 tons of things. Of course. This system has specially tailored a set of mainline tasks for you. The first chapter of the task is to occupy the courtyard. Wait. This is a rule of law society, do you want me to go to war? Lin Tianhao was so scared that he immediately broke out in a cold sweat, feeling even more that the system was not working properly. Don't worry, we won't let you do anything illegal. This is an incredibly tailored task for you. Lin Tianhao's mind was filled with the lewd laughter of the system, as if it still had a Beijing dialect flavor. Lin Tianhao shook his head in silence when he heard his name explained in this way for the first time. Your first small task is to make a good deal with rainwater. Time limit. 1 week, completion reward. Zhang Dongguan's culinary skills. Zhang Dongguan. I don't have much impression. Lin Tianhao no longer hesitated and walked out of the room. Lin Tianhao's house is the ear room in the backyard, just west of the deaf old lady, and in front of it is the wing room where Su Damao is located. The sun has already set in the west, but because it is not like the towering buildings of the past, the backyard is covered in golden sunlight. Although there are no flowers or plants, it still feels very harmonious. While admiring the environment of the courtyard, someone suddenly called out to Lin Tianhao. I said, where is Xiaolin? Chapter 2. 3 Grandfathers Roar and Brush Pot Water. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Free brain storage area. Lin Tianhao looked up and saw the speaker wearing a duckbill cap, with some grayish beard, and a pair of triangular eyes staring at him. He was wearing a blue Zhongshan suit and had a very chubby physique, just like the second uncle's bangs. What advice does second grandpa have? Lin Tianhao knew that Lu Haizhong was an official fan and liked how others treated him with respect. Sure enough, as soon as Lu Haizhong heard these words, his face immediately looked much better, and his mouth grinned with a hint of pride. You're going to be a regular soon, right? Work hard, if you have any questions, you can come to me. Damn it. Lin Tianhao has no intention of talking to Lu Haizhong now, his mind is full of thoughts on how to deal with the rainwater. He had just walked towards the middle courtyard to see if he could come across something by chance, but before he could reach the pool in the backyard, an old man helped the deaf woman walk towards him. "Howsy, I'll cook for the old lady later. Can you help me out?" An old man waved his hand at Lin Tianhao. "Why don't you ask Brother Zhu to do it?" Lin Tianhao was a bit puzzled. Silly Zhu is best at cooking and fighting, and shouldn't an old man give Silly Zhu a caretaker attitude? But for newcomers, they obediently followed along. "Silly pillar, he's going to the Zhengyang tavern to find his big brother." The deaf old lady spoke a bit insincerely, but she listened quite truthfully. During their conversation, the three of them arrived at the main room in the backyard, which was the house of the deaf old lady. The deaf old lady slowly reached for the door key and trembled as she slammed twice at the lock, but still hadn't aimed it at the keyhole. "Let me do it." The old man took the key and opened the door. "Did you keep this lock from the monk's mansion? Is there any meat to eat today?" The deaf old lady did not answer the question from the first master, whether she didn't hear or avoided it. "Yes, there is, old lady. Let's stew chicken soup today," said an old man, helping the old lady sit on the bed. Okay. The deaf old lady heard it, and a hint of light appeared in her murky eyes. "Howsy, go to the kitchen and help me make a fire, and I'll go stew chicken soup for the old lady," said the old man as he walked into the kitchen. Lin Tianhao arrived at the kitchen and clumsily started a fire. "Grandpa, why does Brother Zhu still have an older brother?" Alas, more than 10 years ago, Zhu Zhu's father and White Widow were not clear, and then Zhu Zhu's mother was in a fit of anger, and she was gone. Because of this, Zhu Zhu's older brother severed ties with He Daqing and even changed his name to Kai Chuanwu, which means he cursed his father for not being able to cook anything. Later, he started to mess around, but found a good wife. Lin Tianhao briefly recalled that no wonder in the TV drama, both He Daqing and Kai Chuanwu were played by Ni Dahong. The relationship was between father and son, but does completely nothing mean that? He Daqing and Kai Chuanwu left He rainwater prematurely, while Silly Zhu was a wanderer in an alley, away from home for a day, and found the focus of dealing with He rainwater. Lin Tianhao was lost in thought when a person walked in from the door. They were of medium height, thin in stature, wearing a pair of glasses and a bit mischievous. They smiled and said, "Hey, what day is today?" Lin Tianhao has always scoffed at people like Sandiyi who love to take advantage of small things, so he stepped forward to block Sandiyi and said, "Sandiyi, we didn't know you came, we didn't do that much. A master is a master at making chicken soup in the courtyard. The taste is amazing. I'll taste it, just take a bite." The third master pushed his glasses with his hand and said with a smile. Lin Tianhao's eyes rolled and he spoke with a smile on his face, "Third master, please wait a moment. I'll serve it for you. How about you go home and get a lunchbox? How embarrassed is this? Wait a moment, I'll be back soon." The third master's face flashed with a smile, and then he ran all the way away from here. Lin Tianhao quickly poured out all the chicken soup while the third master was leaving, and then scooped a spoonful of water from the tank and poured it into the pot. Quickly, the third master ran back with 2 lunch boxes in his hand. Lin Tianhao picked it up and went into the kitchen, filling it with 2 boxes of cooking water. After fastening the lid of the lunch box, he handed it to the third uncle and said, "It's still hot, hurry up and take it back." The third master's smile grew stronger on his face. "I'm so sorry about that," he said, running towards the front yard again. Lin Tianhao looked at the back of the third master and smiled, but instead of staying at the deaf old lady's house to eat, he returned to his own home. "I was disappointed to find that there was not a single piece of meat at home. Why is it so miserable? It seems that Yu Fang's move is quite ruthless." Lin Tianhao, with the idea of giving it a try, entered a safe house that only he could see. Opening the refrigerator inside the house, I found all kinds of meat inside and quickly took out a piece to melt. Then take out 3 more eggs and prepare to stir-fry an egg first. Due to the small size of the ear room, Lin Tianhao's family built a shed outside the house as a simple kitchen. There is a small table and several chairs under the shed, and Lin Tianhao usually cooks here. He skillfully ignited the fire, put it into an oil pot, and then poured the beaten eggs into the pot, stir-frying them. In no time, the eggs were stir-fried, and Lin Tianhao took them out and put them aside. Then, he added some scallions to the pot. After frying, he put the melted meat into the pot. Although Lin Tianhao's cooking skills are average, the aroma of roasted meat still permeates the entire backyard. Lin Tianhao took out some vegetables from the refrigerator and prepared to make a simple stir-fry. At this moment, the third master ran over with a face full of anger and said, "Xiaolin, you didn't handle this very well." Lin Tianhao pretended to be very innocent and asked in confusion, "What's wrong?" "Disguise. Did you give me chicken soup?" The third master pointed at Lin Tianhao angrily and continued, "Even my cooking water is bigger than your chicken soup. How could it be? I gave you my portion, didn't you see me cooking and eating on my own?" Lin Tianhao said as he stir-fried the dishes, feeling happy in his heart. "What you have done yourself is much more abundant than that house." The third master no longer held the blame for washing the pot water, but instead stared intently at the meat on the plate. "Third master, I've already taken out all the old tricks and made them. There won't be any pork tomorrow." Lin Tianhao ignored the hot gaze of the 3 masters and stirred it in the pot with a spoon on his own. "Then you can't eat so much, can you?" The third master stared straight at the meat placed on the plate, and his saliva flowed uncontrollably. "How about the third master take another bite with me?" Lin Tianhao politely smiled, didn't he drink enough water to brush the pot? "Then I'll take care of it. Well, by the way, it's been a long time since we last had dinner together." Speaking, the third master entered the room on his own, sat at the table, placed his hands on his knees, and kept patting, because although it was a bit urgent, there was no other way. When Lin Tianhao saw the third master enter the house, he immediately poured water into the pot, turned the vegetables that should have been stir-fried into stewed vegetables, and then ate all the meat and eggs as quickly as possible. With a burp in his mouth, he didn't pay attention to whether the dishes in the pot were cooked or not, so he took them out and brought them into the house. "All the dishes are ready, you can eat." Lin Tianhao placed the plate in the middle of the table. "Is there still food left to be served? How about I lend a hand?" The third master muttered as he looked at the soup on the table, but still stood up and walked out with unwavering determination. Lin Tianhao suppressed his smile, pretended to be puzzled, and looked at the door. Chapter 3. The Power of Spicy Sticks. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The third master came back as soon as he left and said anxiously, "Shaolin, there's a thief. The meat and eggs are missing." Lin Tianhao blinked his innocent big eyes and said, "There's no meat or eggs. I just saw it on the cutting board." The third master gradually felt a bit uneasy. "Is this kid, just now, but when I was cooking, I got hungry and ate it without hesitation. Do I have to report to you when I eat my own food?" Lin Tianhao said naturally, with a calm expression on his face. Although the third master was furious, considering that there was still food on the table, he could only be considered unlucky and took advantage of it. So he sat down on a stool and picked up chopsticks. At this moment, the third master realized that the pot on the table, called kai, was not appropriate because there were only a few cabbage leaves in the pot, and the rest were all water. The third master angrily threw down his chopsticks and pointed at Lin Tianhao, cursing, "You little rabbit, are you using this to fool me?" Through the thick lenses of the third master, Lin Tianhao could still see the fiery gaze. Finally, he couldn't bear it and burst into laughter, holding his stomach in his hands. "You old helper, can't you play with me?" After leaving the third master in anger, Lin Tianhao saw that it was still early, so he took out 2 bags of snacks from his hidden room and put them in his pocket. After thinking about it, he also took 2 bags of spicy strips. As soon as I entered the courtyard, I noticed a graceful woman walking out of the main room, holding a basin filled with clothes. "Sister-in-law, when will you help me wash it?" Lin Tianhao looked straight at Qin Huairu with greedy eyes. "My sister-in-law is always available," Qin Huairu said with a charming expression. After speaking, Qin Huairu twisted her waist and walked towards the pool. Lin Tianhao looked at Qin Huairu's back and thought to himself that this woman did not match his image in his heart. The pool here is different from the one in TV dramas, as it requires squatting, so Qin Huairu's pants are tightly stretched at the back. Lin Tianhao swallowed 2 mouthfuls of saliva, so he decided to take the task first and deal with this widow with a ring. There will be plenty of opportunities in the future. However, Lin Tianhao deliberately walked up to Qin Huairu and looked through his collar at the deep ravine. Rainwater's house is very special, more like a house cut out of an old man's east wing. "Rainwater, I'm Lin Tianhao," he knocked on the door. The sweet voice of Rainwater came from inside the door. "Wait a moment, I'll come right away." Lin Tianhao stood at the door, his mind spinning. Although he and Rainwater knew each other, they didn't have much communication, so they could only resort to deceiving each other. In no time, the door was opened, and Rainwater stood at the door, looking at Lin Tianhao and politely said, "Come in." Lin Tianhao walked into the room and looked around. This is a very simple room with only 1 bed, 1 table, and 1 chair. Rainwater instructed Lin Tianhao to sit down, and then he himself also sat on a chair. "Do you have anything to do with me?" Rainwater is a bit strange. Although they are of similar age, they don't have much contact in their daily lives. Lin Tianhao quickly took out the snacks from his pocket and placed them on the table. "Try them," he said. In this era, people only barely manage to provide for food and clothing, let alone even before traveling. These snacks were exceptionally tempting. Rainwater struggled to shift his gaze from snacks to Lin Tianhao. "This." He swallowed his saliva and continued, "What do you mean?" Lin Tianhao didn't answer, but directly tore open a bag of spicy strips. In an instant, a unique spicy taste filled the entire room, stimulating Rainwater's taste buds. Yushui subconsciously opened his cherry lips slightly, and Lin Tianhao took out a spicy strip and handed it to her mouth. Lin Tianhao was very discerning and handed over another one. Not long after, both bags of spicy strips entered Rainwater's belly, and she saw her eyes slightly closed, the corners of her eyes already uncontrollably moist. Looking at Rainwater's open mouth, Lin Tianhao tore open another bag of potato chips. The change in taste made Rainwater open his eyes and doubt flashed, but Lin Tianhao remained silent and skillfully fed the potato chips into her mouth. Click, click, click. The taste of potato chips is completely different from that of spicy fries, with a crispy exterior and a faint potato flavor, giving it a satisfying sensation to eat. Rainwater was a bit confused by the different flavors of the delicious food, and instinctively extended his small tongue to lick his lips. Lin Tianhao kindly helped Rainwater wipe off the residue on his mouth with his hand. As soon as he made contact, Rainwater felt like he was electrocuted. He turned his head back and his face turned red. "Don't hide, there's still residue left to rub off." Speaking, Lin Tianhao extended his hand again, acting like a big brother doting on his younger sister. Rainwater's face turned even redder, but he didn't dodge this time. Lin Tianhao wiped very gently and carefully. Rainwater even felt Lin Tianhao's fingertips sliding gently at the corner of his mouth, feeling as if he had been electrocuted, crispy and numb. After helping Rainwater wipe her already clean face, Lin Tianhao ran his hand over her upper lip and withdrew, deliberately placing this finger next to his own lips. "How fragrant." Lin Tianhao gently shook his head, looking intoxicated. However, before Rainwater could speak, Lin Tianhao said sternly, "It's getting late. I have to go back and read. I'll come back to see you tomorrow night." After speaking, Lin Tianhao pushed open the door and walked out, leaving only a handsome figure for Rainwater. Rainwater closed the door in a daze, picked up the bag of snacks left on the table, and held it in his arms. The little deer in his heart kept bumping against each other. Today's Lin Tianhao is like a refreshing breeze. His generosity and thoughtfulness have caused layers of ripples in the heart lake of Rainwater. The inadvertent touch, the seemingly gentle, seemed to be expressing his fondness for himself. However, his gaze and actions may also be just a polite and friendly attitude. For Rainwater, who is just starting to fall in love, it is destined to be a sleepless night. Lin Tianhao walked out of Rainwater's room, feeling particularly relaxed. He knew that he had successfully left a deep impression in Rainwater's heart. As they reached the passage, Jia Zhang's voice reprimanding Qin Huairu came from the West Wing room. "Do you want to starve my family to death? Bang Yu has drunk a bowl of white rice porridge, and Xiaodang and Huaihua have only eaten wodu. Today, silly Zhu is not at home, so I can't help it." Qin Huairu was very aggrieved. She saved and saved for this family, mending and mending her clothes, never buying new ones, and even picking out bad ones to eat. She even made them for them, can't do it. "I see you just don't think of a way." Jia Zhang continued to curse, "I see you're looking at me getting old and wanting to starve me to death. Then you can find another man to remarry." Chapter 4. The Obsession of the Thief of the Holy Stick Meme. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Upon hearing these words, Qin Huairu couldn't help but shed tears. She didn't understand why her mother-in-law was still dissatisfied with her daily service to this large family. "Mom, I didn't." Qin Huairu choked up and said. "No. Are you showing off your charm every day? You must have eaten it secretly. You're such a cruel mother." Jia Zhang scolded relentlessly, her face trembling with words. She knew that this family was completely dependent on Qin Huairu. Although she tried hard, pushing and squeezing would still have an effect. Upon hearing these words, Qin Huairu's heart twisted like a knife. She worked hard every day to serve this large family, but in the end, she was misunderstood by her mother-in-law like this. "Mom, I really didn't, Qin Huairu was interrupted by Jia Zhang before she could finish speaking. "Alright, don't explain it anymore. I think you just despise our poor Jia family and want to climb higher." Jia Zhang said and pushed Qin Huairu out of the room. It seems that there is a reason why Qin Huairu became a vampire. A chubby and white old lady not only invites Jia Dongxiu to appear, but also takes the lead in her daily life. However, Lin Tianhao will not sympathize, otherwise she will become a foolish Hao. "Qin Jia, what's wrong with you?" Lin Tianhao asked knowingly. "Nothing. Nothing." Qin Huairu widened her eyes and worked hard not to let tears flow out. "Well, I thought it was because of the food." Lin Tianhao's face was full of disappointment, as if he had guessed wrong, which was quite regrettable. "Actually, I'm hungry. As you know, there are many people in my sister's family, and the 3 children are just growing up." Qin Huairu seemed to have seen a life-saving straw, but in fact, he had already grabbed a lot of straw, including silly pillar, Su Damao, deputy factory director Li. "Alas, unfortunately I don't have anything to eat at home either." Lin Tianhao let out a long sigh, shrugged his shoulders, and spread out his hands. As soon as Qin Huairu had a glimmer of hope, it was mercilessly extinguished, and tears could no longer be controlled, surging out of the corners of her eyes. Lin Tianhao was a bit conflicted, not because he sympathized, but because he hesitated whether to lure the thief to steal or let Qin Huairu come directly to his door. Lin Tianhao quickly made up his mind and loudly said, "I have delicious food at home tomorrow." After speaking, he followed the passage towards the backyard, leaving only Qin Huairu in place, unsure of what he was thinking. Lin Tianhao returned to his own room, looked at the tattered bed, quickly locked the door, and entered the hidden room. He slept comfortably, woke up at 6 o'clock in the morning, opened the refrigerator, and found that the food inside had been updated. A box of canned food caught his attention. After having breakfast, I set up the scene, walked out of the room, unlocked the door, and embarked on the road to work. The 3-rolling steel plant is located on the east side of Dongzaimen, less than 4 kilometers away from Nanluoga Lane, and can only be walked, so it takes an hour. Looking at the bicycle passing by, Lin Tianhao set a small goal for himself. The Phoenix brand bicycle. During this period, bicycles were still a rare item, along with sewing machines and watches, known as the 3 major items. The bicycle costs about 180 yuan, while Lin Tianhao's current salary is less than 30 yuan, only 22 yuan, which means he needs to save up several months of salary without any other expenses. I don't want to, let's find some opportunities to make money. Lin Tianhao shook his head. At the 3-rolling steel plant, Lin Tianhao changed into his work clothes and walked into the lounge. Tianhao, you came quite early today. The speaker was a middle-aged man with a Chinese character face and a burly figure. Well, hello class leader Ma. Lin Tianhao said hello. Seeing no one around, Lin Tianhao took out 2 boxes of canned luncheon meat from his cloth bag and said, Brother Ma, this is for our nephew. Put it away quickly, don't let anyone see it. The captain of the horse quickly stood up and closed the door, putting the canned food in his wardrobe. You little boy. Tell me, what's up? Lin Tianhao quickly waved his hand and said, Captain Ma, I've always treated you like a big brother. Isn't it right to give our nephew something? As an older brother, I have to say a few words to you. It's not difficult for you to become a regular employee, but after becoming a regular employee, you will need to work in 3 shifts. Although the work is relatively leisurely, it is still quite challenging. Class monitor Ma began to talk to Lin Tianhao about the working status of an electrician. Lin Tianhao has not yet considered how to work, just nodding incessantly. Today's gift is just for the convenience of future work. Lin Tianhao just changed a light bulb all morning and stayed idle until noon when he went to the cafeteria with class leader Ma. Holding a lunchbox, Lin Tianhao walked to the window and saw Silly Zhu for the first time after crossing the river. Glancing at it, he nodded and put the lunchbox by the window. Seeing Silly Zhu's slightly lewd face, I immediately understood why blind dates are always misunderstood for having an affair with Widow Qin. Silly Zhu took a big spoonful and filled the lunchbox to the brim, smiling at Lin Tianhao. The food is good, although they are all vegetarian dishes, they use meat and oil, and the taste is good. Silly Zhu's cooking skills are really good. Bang Gung has always had a thorn in his heart. 3 years ago, less than a month after Jia Dongxu's death, he was playing around when he accidentally found second uncle and his mother Qin Huairu in the cellar. The two hugged each other without clothes on, but Kanji heard his mother seemingly crying softly. At that time, Bang Ji was only 8 years old and rushed over to see his mother being bullied. The second uncle hurriedly picked up his clothes and ran away, but Qin Huairu tightly held on to the stick and didn't let him pursue it. She told him not to talk about it outside, saying that only in this way can they be raised. As a result, various versions of this matter still appeared in the courtyard, and the second aunt even came to scold Qin Huairu. Jia Zhang was quite impressive, so she slapped the second aunt when she went up. In the end, the deaf old lady came forward, and this matter was finally suppressed. At that time, Xiao Bangji had an obsession in his heart. Firstly, he couldn't bear being told that his mother had broken shoes. Secondly, as the only man in the family, he wanted to grow up as soon as possible and protect his family. So he practiced his skills hard and finally grew into a thief in a courtyard house. Yesterday, when Bataji heard Lin Tianhao's words, he felt like he had an opportunity to contribute to his family. At 3:30 p.m., as soon as Bang Gung arrived home from school, he eagerly put down his backpack and ran to the backyard. Bang Gung noticed that Lin Tianhao's door was not locked and did not push it rashly. Instead, he carefully observed the situation around him. After all, the reputation of a thief saint is not in vain. I saw him skillfully opening the window, jumping into the room with agility. After entering the room, his gaze immediately locked on the table, as there was a strange thing emitting a faint fishy smell. He cautiously walked forward and found 2 tin cans, one opened and the other unopened. There is a fish in the side picture of the open tin can, with 4 large characters, canned mackerel, and a small piece of fish inside. Bang Ji dipped his finger in a bit of fish and put it into his mouth, suddenly feeling a delicious taste that he had never experienced before. He widened his eyes and licked the soup on his fingers. It was a bit sour, salty, and had a fishy aroma, as if he had discovered a new continent. He ate the last piece of fish without hesitation, then licked his lips with satisfaction, looked at the unopened can, tightly grasped it in his hand, jumped out of the window, and landed in the yard. Chapter 5. 20 times more smelly than stinky tofu. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. As soon as the stick landed, the door of the west wing suddenly opened. Stick meme, what are you doing? Lu Xiao walked out of the room. Bang Ji didn't answer and ran away. Lu Xiaoyi shook her head helplessly. She didn't have a good impression of Lin Tianhao. Although he was very handsome, he was young and didn't work properly. He was still entangled with Yu Fang, so she didn't continue to investigate, but returned to the room. Bongang shuttled through the alley for half an hour before returning to the courtyard and running back home. Where have you been playing, kid? Sweating all over, wipe it off first. Jia Zhang came out of the inner room with a smile on her face. Jia Zhang really had nothing to say to this great-grandson. She would rather not eat it herself than give the delicious food a stick. Bang Gung ignored Jia Zhang and placed the can on the table. Although the can did not have a tab, it was not difficult for the thief to open it. He pricked the edge of the can with a straight screwdriver and suddenly smelled a foul odor, but he didn't pay attention because he had never heard of the legend of canned herring. Canned herring is produced in Sweden. The production process is not detailed, but the odor is 20 times more than stinky tofu. And the smell lingers for a long time. If you don't open the door or windows inside the house, the smell will still be strong after a few days. Until the moment he lifted the lid of the canned fish with a pair of flat-mouthed pliers, when Bang Ji smelled the pungent and foul smell of the canned herring, his face instantly turned pale and he was stunned. The stench rushed straight to his forehead, like a mixture of feces, rotten eggs, sewage, and septic tanks, making him feel nauseous. His eyebrows furrowed tightly, his eyes closed tightly, and his nose clenched tightly, trying to resist the foul smell. However, this scent seemed to penetrate everywhere, constantly eroding his olfactory nerves. Bang Ji felt waves of nausea surging in his heart, and he held back, not letting his stomach turn the tide. With a thud, Jia Zhang fainted from the stench. As she fell, her arms scraped against the can on the table, causing it to slide off. The odor rapidly increased, and the most deadly thing was that the liquid in the canned food splattered everywhere, many of which were contaminated with stick stems and Jia Zhang's body. Bang Ji couldn't hold on anymore and vomited in place. Xiao Dang walked over with Huaihua in his arms and said, "Brother, did you fall into the cesspool?" As soon as he finished speaking, Xiao Dang hurriedly put down the locust blossom and covered his nose with both hands. The smell was too strong. Bang Ji has vomited all over the ground, and now there is nothing to vomit, but he is still retching continuously at 4:30 in the afternoon. Jia Zhang woke up in a faint state, and what caught his eye was the canned herring on the ground. The smell was still strong, but he may have adapted slightly. This time, he did not faint. At this time, stinky tofu suddenly appeared in Jia Zhang's mind. Perhaps. Jia Zhangshi inexplicably grabbed her nostrils, took out a fish from a can, and put it in her mouth. The fish was very smooth and sticky, but most importantly, it had an unparalleled odor. Jia Zhang fainted again. At 5 o'clock, Lin Tianhao secretly took a piece of paper and a pen, put them in his cloth pocket, and then went home. Lin Tianhao walked so fast that he had to rush ahead of Qin Huairu in order to set up the scene and prepare for the next step. At 5:40, I arrived home 20 minutes earlier than usual. Lin Tianhao smelled the foul smell in the courtyard, but outside, the smell had already faded a lot and could still be reluctantly accepted. He smiled slightly, and the stick meme fulfilled his promise and successfully completed the task. Returning to his own room, he quickly entered the hidden room and took out some pork and eggs, which he placed at the foot of the bed. Seeing that there was still time, I took out a pen and paper and started writing. Qin Huairu was stunned by the scene before her. Jia Zhang lay on the ground, unaware of his life or death. Bang Ji sat on the ground with a pale face and lifeless eyes. Huaihua was lying on the ground crying loudly. Xiao Dang has no idea where he is going. Qin Huairu opened the door wide, but only managed to hold on to it before vomiting loudly. After a moment of delay, all the windows of the house were opened wide, and then Jia Zhang and Bang Gung were pulled into the silly pillar room with Huaihua in their arms. Here, Qin Huairu discovered Xiao Dang. "You don't care about your grandmother and sister either," Qin Huairu scolded. Xiao Dang lowered his head and remained silent, secretly complaining in his heart, "This is not my fault in the first place. It was clearly caused by the stick meme falling into the pit, why should I take care of it? Moreover, I have never seen such a foul-smelling thing before, and I can't bear the smell myself. Hey, what's wrong with this? Why is it so smelly?" Silly Zhu held the lunchbox in his hand and covered his nose, looking at the embarrassed crowd and asking. "Lin Tianhao, he caused me trouble." Bang Ji shouted loudly, and after shouting, he began to retch. Bang Gung and Silly Zhu have a deep emotional connection. On the one hand, Bang Gung's skills are his own efforts, and on the other hand, it is also Silly Zhu's unwavering guidance. Qin Huairu is a bit confused. What's up with Guan Lin Tianhao? But Silly Zhu was furious and stormed towards the backyard. Silly Zhu angrily walked towards the backyard, ready to settle accounts with Lin Tianhao. Qin Huairu saw the situation and was worried that there might be a conflict between the two, so she quickly followed suit. At this moment, Lin Tianhao was packing his things inside the house when he heard the sound of hurried footsteps coming from outside. He was overjoyed that Qin Huairu had indeed arrived. He stood up and opened the door, pretending to be surprised as he looked at Qin Huairu and Silly Zhu. "Oh, Qin Jie, brother Zhu, why are you here?" Lin Tianhao asked knowingly. "Lin Tianhao, what a good thing you kid did." Silly Zhu angrily asked. Qin Huairu's family is his rebellious scales, and no one is allowed to touch them. Qin Huairu also looked at Lin Tianhao with a serious expression, waiting for his explanation. Lin Tianhao asked with a bewildered expression, "Brother Zhu, what's wrong with me? I've just finished work and haven't left since I got home. Also, Qin Jie, why are you a little smelly?" Bang Ji changed his clothes and walked over. "It's just the can on your table, it smells so bad. It's making my grandmother dizzy." Silly Zhu took a step forward and glared at Lin Tianhao. "Did you hear that? It's just your canned food, causing so much trouble." Qin Huairu reacted and quickly grabbed the silly pillar, wanting to leave. Lin Tianhao never missed the opportunity and pretended to be surprised, saying, "How could the can on my table run to Qin's house?" Qin Huairu's face became even uglier when she heard Lin Tianhao's words. She turned to look at Bang Gung and asked, "Bang Gung, to be honest, did you steal the can?" Bang Ji's eyes flickered as he dared not look at Qin Huairu. He hesitated and said, I just saw that can look good and wanted to bring it back to Huaihua to play with." Qin Huairu was so angry that she trembled all over when she heard the stick meme. She raised her hand and wanted to hit the stick meme, but halfway up, she let it go. Silly Zhu saw Qin Huairu's appearance and knew she couldn't take her hand. He walked forward, grabbed the collar of the stick, pulled him to his face, and loudly said, "You little bunny, how do I usually teach you?" Bang Ji was scared and cried by Silly Zhu. As he cried, he said, I know I was wrong. I won't dare to do it again in the future. Thinking of what silly Zhu taught him. Cry when caught, pretend to be pitiful, and seek sympathy. Chapter 6. Yu Fang's Abnormal Husband. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Qin Huairu felt very uncomfortable when she saw Bang Gung crying. She walked up and pulled Bang Gung to her side, comforting her. Stick meme, don't cry anymore, don't steal anything again in the future. Although our family is poor, we are not poor and ambitious. We cannot do such shameful things. Silly Zhu couldn't bear to say anything more when he saw Qin Huairu's appearance. He sighed and turned to Lin Tianhao, saying, Sorry, Haozi, how much does this can cost? I'll compensate you. Lin Tianhao's face was gloomy, his eyes gleamed with cold light. He took a deep breath and slowly spoke up, saying, This is not a matter of money. Yesterday, I saw that you were pitiful and deliberately left eggs for you. I prepared to give them to you today, but I can give them to you. If you take them without permission, it will change its nature. After finishing speaking, he walked up to Qin Huairu and turned his back to the silly pillar, continuing, unless. His eyes swept recklessly towards Qin Huairu's two high mountains. Qin Huairu had been on the battlefield for a long time, and immediately understood the meaning in Lin Tianhao's eyes. However, as a foolish pillar of white moonlight and a long-term meal ticket, he could not make a statement on the spot and could only pretend to be confused and ask, unless for what? Lin Tianhao slowly walked to the bedside. Although he had a clear chance of winning, he was not yet suitable for a fight with silly Zhu, so he spoke up and said. I haven't figured it out yet. Just remember to owe me once. Silly Zhu vaguely felt something was wrong, but before he could speak, Qin Huairu agreed first, okay, as long as sister can do it, she will definitely do it. After everyone left, Lin Tianhao went to the hidden room to eat 2 hamburgers. Seeing that the time was about, he took another bottle of toilet water and came to the door of Yushui. Rainwater has been sleeping all day because he had insomnia last night. But with some worries, she didn't sleep soundly. In the end, she woke up in the afternoon, tidied up, and started waiting with the bag of snacks in her arms. Then he kept repeating 2 actions. Looking at the door and looking in the mirror. After a long wait, she finally heard a knock on the door, but the girl's reserved demeanor prevented her from getting up immediately. Instead, she quietly cleared her throat and stood up excitedly, waiting for the next knock. Lin Tianhao outside the door didn't want to speak because the middle courtyard was still shrouded in a foul odor, so he knocked on the door again. As soon as a sound was heard, the door was immediately opened. Lin Tianhao gave a very handsome smile and walked into the room. He turned back and closed the door, saying gently. It's too smelly outside. Don't leave the house if you have nothing to do today. Yushui instinctively sniffed a few times, looking very cute. Lin Tianhao reached out his big hand and scraped her nose. You. Rainwater pouted, pretending to be angry. Lin Tianhao once again reached out his big hand and lifted Rainwater's cheek. Rainwater's head flickered back a centimeter, and he obediently closed his eyes. However, his long eyelashes kept moving, showing his inner tension. Lin Tianhao knew that if he took the next step now, there was at least a 70% chance of successfully pushing her down, but he felt uncertain. Once he resisted, it would be difficult to handle later, so he let go of his hand. This is floral water, it can make the room smell better. Rainwater feels like his heart is about to jump out of his throat. What is he doing? Do you want to kiss me? Do I let him kiss? Is that not reserved enough? Will he be angry if he is not allowed to kiss? What is the act of kissing? Do you want to stick out your tongue? Rainwater's face turned red, and when he still had 100,000 questions, Lin Tianhao suddenly put down his hand. She felt a little relaxed, but more disappointed. Where does the smell in the yard come from? Rainwater asked absent-mindedly. It should be passed down from Sister Qin's family, and your brother is busy working with it. Lin Tianhao took the opportunity to stir up a relationship. He usually doesn't care about rainwater, but he cares so much about a widow. Leave your brother and come to my side. Sure enough, Rainwater's face darkened. His brother didn't consider anything else except for giving money, so he casually twisted open the toilet water. It smells so good. At this moment, Lin Tianhao took out the written paper and placed it on the table. I'm back, I'll come see you tomorrow. What does Rainwater mean by feeling a bit aggrieved? Just say a few words and leave. Is that all I need? Is this toilet water? But it's really fragrant. My gaze fell on that piece of paper. Love is long and lingering, where to look for beautiful faces. After the rain, the sky clears and a rainbow appears. When the water comes, it becomes a perfect match. Can this be considered a love poem? The writing style is average, but when it comes to what you wrote. Hiyushui fell to the first word of each sentence, connected, love Hiyushui. He showed his love to me. So shy. After reading about 100 times, Rainwater carefully stacked the paper and placed it under the pillow. After thinking for a while, he took it out and read it again, with a smile on his face and even more joy in his heart. After casually touching his pocket, Lin Tianhao realized that he didn't have a phone, which was really troublesome. He walked unsteadily to the backyard, went to the east ear room, and knocked on the door. Tian Wanli accidentally broke his egg last year and did not seek medical attention in time, resulting in spoilage, so he lost his ability as a man. My wife Fang didn't say anything, but she expressed her dissatisfaction with him through practical actions, especially recently when she got involved with a handsome neighbor. From time to time, when Fang could order some food at home, he would turn a blind eye. However, it also made his psychology gradually abnormal. Whenever he was in a bad mood or drank too much, he would use cucumbers, eggplants, or even clamps to teach Fang a harsh lesson. Fang did not choose to divorce for her child, and since she still has a rural household registration, divorce is not a good day. She can only mix some food with Lin Tianhao and get some physical and psychological comfort at the same time. Today, Tian Wanli was drinking while Fang was huddled up and trembling at the corner of the bed when suddenly there was a knock on the door. Who is it? Tian Wanli felt a bit impatient, but still opened the door. Lin Tianhao effortlessly stepped in and entered the room. What do you want to do? Tian Wanli looked at Lin Tianhao, not only not furious, but also extremely fearful. Lin Tianhao watched as Fang curled up at the corner of the bed, and immediately grabbed Tian Wanli's neck and lifted it up. Be good to my woman. Tian Wanli is less than 1.7 meters tall, while Lin Tianhao is 182. Therefore, Tian Wanli was lifted to the ground with his toes on, and he woke up half of the time from drinking. He quickly said, I dare not. Lin Tianhao let go of his hand and stroked Tian Wanli's collar, which had become harmless to humans and animals. Tian, I have something to do with my sister. In law, he said. It's okay. Should I fall to the ground for you or go to your house? Tian Wanli quickly said, his legs still trembling incessantly, and below was a strong urge to urinate. Lin Tianhao didn't speak, but walked out and followed Fang as soon as possible. After the two of them left, Tian Wanli took a deep breath, closed the door, and started drinking again, muttering while drinking. Cheap, if you don't bring me back some food and drinks, I'll see if I don't take care of you. Returning to his own room, Lin Tianhao sat straight on the bed. Fang didn't speak, but took off his clothes directly. Don't worry, let's talk first, Lin Tianhao said first. Chapter 7. Work Confirmation. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Fang stopped her movements and sat next to Lin Tianhao. You're a bit different today. Lin Tianhao straightened his chest, making his chest muscles more prominent. Good man, right? How slow? Fang asked inexplicably. Well, it's very masculine, isn't it? Lin Tianhao couldn't change his past habits for a while and casually said a mixed Chinese and English sentence. Yu Fang lowered her head and answered softly, feeling grateful for the young man in front of her. Unfortunately, he will not stay by her side forever. 1,000 words are omitted here. Lin Tianhao touched Yu Fang's hair and casually asked, "Why don't you have a job?" Yu Fang let out a sigh. "Qin Jie and I are fellow villagers from Chongping. We thought that getting married to the city would lead a good life, but who knew it would be like this?" Qin Jie also took on the job because her husband passed away due to work-related injuries. Lin Tianhao deeply believed that although Chongping is only a few dozen kilometers away from here, the living conditions can be said to be vastly different. Although it was still Chongping District and it was first allocated to Beijing during the liberation, it became Chongping County in 60 years and belongs to rural areas. "You seem quite scared of your husband." Lin Tianhao thought of the scene of Yu Fang huddled in the corner of the bed at home. "He's abnormal," Yu Fang trembled uncontrollably and said, "He torments me when he's in a bad mood." Lin Tianhao became very interested upon hearing this. "Tell me, how did he torture you?" Yu Fang burst into tears, and those unforgettable scenes came to mind. "Don't ask, okay?" Lin Tianhao's face was calm, and his eyes were filled with pity. He patted Yu Fang's back with his hand. "Do you still want to hide secrets from me? Speaking it out, holding it in your heart will affect your health." With a "wow" sound, Yu Fang burst into tears and for a long time, recounted how Tian Wanli had treated her. Lin Tianhao was inexplicably excited after listening. "Don't. You made everyone lose track yesterday, don't let small things get bigger." Yu Fang still has lingering palpitations about yesterday's events. If there were to be another good or bad one, she couldn't bear the responsibility. Even if the situation could be resolved, she would lose her comfort. Lin Tianhao did not answer, but instead omitted 2,000 words. Half an hour later, Lin Tianhao took a deep breath and spoke. "Clean up the scene and take the meat by the bed away." Although reluctant in her heart, Yu Fang quickly took the meat and left. Lin Tianhao locked the door, entered the hidden room, took a quick shower, and lay comfortably in bed. He dug out a box of huazi and took a deep puff, feeling the pleasure that only old smokers could experience. Thinking that everything was going according to his own design script as planned, Lin Tianhao's lips curved upwards and his eyes closed. The next day, as soon as Lin Tianhao entered the lounge, class leader Ma walked over to him with a smile on his face. "I have good news for you. You will be taking a probationary assessment today." Lin Tianhao's eyes lit up as he realized that his hidden room could completely solve the food problem, but he didn't provide any money, so he still had to rely on himself to earn. Now he only earns 22 yuan per month, and his first year as a probationary employee is his first year. His salary has directly reached 27.5 yuan, an increase of 25%. Although he has planned to be transferred, becoming a regular employee is also a huge good thing, especially since his tenure has not yet reached 3 years. It must have been the result of delivering cans yesterday. "Thank you, Brother Ma." Lin Tianhao saluted excitedly. The assessment included replacing the fuse, which was not too easy for Lin Tianhao, so he passed the assessment smoothly. It is worth mentioning that Deputy Factory Director Li still appeared on site. Lin Tianhao knew that the easiest way to transfer positions was to defeat Deputy Factory Director Li, and he had a plan in mind. "I didn't go for lunch, but instead borrowed a bicycle from class monitor Ma and went to the store to buy a Zhonghua cigarette for 6.2 yuan. After some procedural tugging, I still gave the cigarette to class monitor Ma. I took a half-day off in the afternoon and then took a car to Fengtai District. Fengtai District has a long history, especially Fengtai Railway Station, which is a first-class station. From the late 19th century to the early 20th century, multiple countries participated in the construction due to their own reasons. But Lin Tianhao didn't come here for sightseeing. He spent 5 yuan on 3 months of rent and rented a 15 square meter house. The room was very simple, with only one bed, one table, and 2 chairs. After receiving the key, he hurriedly returned to the factory and the restroom, writing vigorously on 3 sheets of paper. It's almost time to finish work, Lin Tianhao patiently waited. After about half an hour of work, the people in the factory had almost left. Lin Tianhao slowly arrived at the small warehouse. Without any accidents, there was indeed movement inside. Lin Tianhao vigorously pushed open the door, making a loud noise, but he did not enter. Before long, Deputy Factory Director Li walked out with some disheveled clothes and a very unpleasant expression on his face. "Ah, how could it be you?" Lin Tianhao widened his eyes and had an exaggerated expression. "Why are you here?" Vice Factory Director Li had an unpleasant expression and was almost furious. Just as he was about to succeed, this happened. "Someone told me there are fun things here." Lin Tianhao pretended to be nervous and replied. "Who told you that?" Deputy Factory Director Li looked at Lin Tianhao with great regret. Lin Tianhao did not answer, but took out a key and a small note from his pocket and handed them to Deputy Factory Director Li. Deputy Factory Director Li had some doubts, but he still took it over with an address written on the note. "This is the house I rented in Fengtai. The money is not enough, I only rented it for 3 months, and I have given you all the keys." Lin Tianhao blinked his eyes and quickly left. Deputy Factory Director Li stood in place, looking at Lin Tianhao's back with a mixed expression on his face. Lin Tianhao missed lunch and has been walking non-stop to rent a house in Fengtai in the afternoon. Now he has been walking home for another hour, and as soon as he gets home, he lies on the bed. After a while, he entered the hidden room again, drank some drinks first, and then took out the grilled chicken to nibble on. "I patted my round belly, and the feeling of eating and drinking is satisfying." Just as I was about to go out to digest food, there was a knock on the door. Opening the door, a man stood at the door, tall, with big sideburns and an 8-pointed beard, looking somewhat lewd. "Big brother, what's up?" Lin Tianhao asked, but he didn't expect Su Dumao to take the initiative to find him. Su Dumao looked around in a suspicious manner and then crawled into the ear room where Lin Tianhao was located. "Well done." Su Dumao entered the house and boasted. Lin Tianhao knew immediately that it was yesterday's canned food incident, but how did he know it was related to him? "Are you still being seen by others?" "What did I do?" Lin Tianhao asked, pretending to be confused. Chapter 8. Cat and Mouse Alliance. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Su Dumao curled his lips and said, "Are you still pretending to be with me? Yesterday, Bang Ji came to your house to steal something, and my wife saw it. Then his house was full of stench. Later, I even sneaked over and it turned out to be a box of canned goods." Lin Tianhao smiled shyly and said, "I know that silly Zhu and Big Brother have a bad relationship, so I wanted to give you a sidekick. Now, silly Zhu's room probably smells too bad." "Ha ha ha," Su Dumao laughed happily. Speaking of which, the Su Dumao family and the silly Zhu family can be said to be a world feud. It happened in their father's generation before liberation. Silly Zhu's father, He Daqing, used his relationship with a deaf old lady to kick Su Dumao's father, Su Wood, out of the courtyard. However, due to work reasons after liberation, the Su family returned to the courtyard. The Su family reported to the street that there were issues with He Daqing's composition, and it can be said that He Daqing's elopement with the White Widow also had this factor. In the generation of Silly Zhu and Su Dumao had a good job and could secretly earn some money by going out to play movies when he had free time. He also found a wealthy wife, but it was also because this wife had a problem with her composition that he temporarily gave up the idea of attacking Silly Zhu. But Silly Zhu is a person who doesn't seek revenge overnight, but he also has a sense of propriety. He is nothing more than a little less when serving meals, and usually makes a few sarcastic remarks. Moreover, because Silly Zhu has learned Beijing-style wrestling, he sometimes takes the opportunity to hit Su Dumao several times. Last night when I came home, I heard Lu Xiao's story, which made Su Dumao extremely excited. However, I was afraid that silly Zhu might suspect me, so I forced myself not to go find Lin Tianhao. Su Dumao took out a bottle of Nolenshan from his arms and said, "Let's have a drink." Lin Tianhao patted his forehead and said, "Brother, I don't have anything here, can't I just drink?" Su Dumao shook his head helplessly and returned home to grab a handful of peanuts. "I told you, little brother, how did you get along?" Lin Tianhao poured the wine into his glass and said, "Brother, do it." He then tilted it all up. Su Dumao has a poor tolerance for alcohol, but he is also a good person. Although he muttered that he couldn't drink, he still gave up. This bottle of Nyolan Mountain is 52 degrees Celsius. As soon as a cup enters his stomach, Su Dumao's face immediately turns red and he starts bragging mode. For this courtyard house, Lin Tianhao doesn't have a good impression of Su Dumao, but in his heart, Su Dumao is a true villain, much cuter than a hypocrite. Moreover, in this era, his foundation is not yet stable, so it's better not to offend so many people. As soon as the two of them drank, it was already 9 o'clock. Su Dumao's tongue was already stretched out, and those words rolled back and forth like wheels. Lin Tianhao felt impatient and pretended to be drunk, lying in bed. But Su Dumao didn't notice at all and still said to himself, "What's brother's name?" "His name is Dumao, it's a cat, and your name is Hao, it's a mouse. But don't worry, brother, I won't catch you in this life." The door opened and Lu Xiaoa walked in, dragging Su Dumao back home with her rambling words. "It's a bit too late, although it's unlikely that Rainwater fell asleep, there's a bit of noise at this moment. It's estimated that Jia Zhang can hear it, so he still doesn't take this risk. Today was indeed very tiring, so I didn't go to find you Fang, nor did I have to sing all night. I went back to the secluded room and had a beautiful sleep." The next day, as soon as he arrived at the lounge, class monitor Ma told Lin Tianhao that Deputy Factory Director Li was looking for him. "What do you want?" Deputy Factory Director Li sat on a chair and asked as he looked at Lin Tianhao. Lin Tianhao took out 3 pieces of paper that he had written yesterday and put them on the table. "Take a look, this is the radio script I wrote. I am very interested in broadcasting," he said. Deputy Factory Director Li picked up a piece of paper and looked at the words on it. The writing was vigorous and powerful, with dragons and phoenixes dancing, and the content was even more colorful. Especially when praising him, he was generous with words. "You're hiding it. Alright, from now on, you'll be responsible for the broadcasting work in the factory," Deputy Factory Director Li said. "Thank you, Director Li," Lin Tianhao said happily. "Don't thank me, you have to thank the party and the people," Deputy Factory Director Li said seriously. "Yes, I will definitely not disappoint the expectations of the party and the people," Lin Tianhao said seriously. Deputy Factory Director Li nodded in satisfaction as he watched Lin Tianhao leave. He was also very happy in his heart. He just wanted to climb up, so it would be easy to handle. If there were any dogs coming, he would feed them more meat. The work at the broadcasting station is very leisurely, with 1 hour of news broadcast in the morning and 1 hour in the afternoon. The rest of the time is generally for equipment maintenance and preparation for broadcasting work, but in reality, some private matters can be done secretly. Of course, there is another reason to go to the broadcasting station. Due to the system not being adjusted, it is highly likely that he will be able to handle the people here, so coming early can also be considered as preparation. Returning to the lounge, Lin Tianhao began packing his things and preparing to move to the broadcasting station. "Tianhao, where are you going?" Captain Ma walked in and asked. "I'm going to work at the radio station," Lin Tianhao said with a smile. "What? Are you going to the radio station?" Class Monitor Ma asked in surprise. "Yes, Deputy Factory Director Li asked me to be responsible for the broadcasting work in the factory," Lin Tianhao said. "You're good, kid, keep it hidden." Class Monitor Ma smiled and said. "Brother Ma, I didn't expect Deputy Factory Director Li to let me go to the radio station, Lin Tianhao said. You're lucky, kid. I don't think you pay much attention to your work in your daily life. It seems like you've changed people these past few days, and I didn't expect Deputy Factory Director Li to still be interested in you, said Class Leader Ma. Maybe I'm lucky, Lin Tianhao said with a smile. Alright, hurry up and don't delay your work, said Class Leader Ma. Okay, Brother Ma, then I'll leave. Let's have a drink when we have time, Lin Tianhao said. Go ahead, work hard, said Class Leader Ma. Lin Tianhao left the lounge and walked towards the broadcasting station. Arriving at the radio station, there was a woman busy inside. The figure is curvy and graceful, with a face like peach blossom, which is exactly the flower of the factory in the begonia. Yu Haitang is now the girlfriend of Yang Weimin, the son of the factory manager Yang, but they broke up due to a stance issue. Her first choice when choosing a partner again was Silly Pillar, indicating that she didn't care about her appearance. Judging from her past life, Yu Haitang was a typical green tea bitch. Now is not the time to conquer her. Thinking of this, Lin Tianhao politely said, Hello, my name is Lin Tianhao. Director Li asked me to come here as a broadcaster. Yu Haitang never expected that there would be such a handsome man in the factory, who looked very similar to the Prince Charming he had dreamed of when the girl was pregnant. So she was taken aback for a moment, her face blushing unconsciously, and shyly spoke, Hello, my name is Yu Haitang. The sound is really beautiful. Although it may not be considered a heavenly sound, it is also the most beautiful sound I have heard since arriving at the Courtyard house. Lin Tianhao reached out his big hand and held it together with Yu Haitang's small hand, which was very slippery, but he tried it briefly and didn't want to leave a frivolous impression. Yu Haitang warmly said to Lin Tianhao, Welcome to join our radio station, we will be colleagues from now on. Lin Tianhao responded slightly hesitantly, I just arrived at the radio station and there are many things I don't understand. Please take care of me. Yu Haitang said confidently, Don't be polite. Feel free to ask me any questions. Lin Tianhao said, Then I'll go familiarize myself with the environment first. Yu Haitang smiled and said, Okay, you go. Chapter 9. Damn Stomach Pain. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Lin Tianhao arrived at the office of the radio station and began to familiarize himself with the environment. The broadcasting station is not large, only one office and one broadcasting room. There are 2 tables and 2 radios in the office, and there are some documents and manuscripts on the table. There is a recorder, a microphone, and a control console in the studio. After getting familiar with the operation of the equipment, it's time for lunch. Lin Tianhao was about to invite Yu Haitang to have instant noodles when he entered the office of the broadcasting station alone. He is very short and fat, in his 20s. At this time, only one person came in without knocking on the door. Hello, Brother Weimin. Lin Tianhao nodded and greeted. Young Weimin, relying on his father, has been domineering in his workplace, especially detesting handsome and tall men. Lin Tianhao has both of them, which can be said to be extremely disliked. However, Yu Dao extends his hand not to smiley people, so he said with a strange tone. New here. Little white face. Lin Tianhao didn't care at all, but spoke sincerely. As the saying goes, men are talented and women are beautiful, so what's more important for men is their talent. With such temperament, you must be a talented person. May I ask if it's okay to call you Temperament Brother? Yu Haitang spoke up promptly from the side. This is Lin Tianhao, the new broadcaster. Yang Weimin looked at Lin Tianhao with great appreciation. No one had ever praised him so much before, and he was very satisfied with the nickname, Temperament Brother. Xiao Lin, you are very good. Lin Tianhao wisely didn't stay here and ran to the cafeteria to eat. Seeing Qin Huiru teasing a co-worker for a meal without paying any attention to him wiping her oil, Lin Tianhao's eyes sparkled with green light and filled with pity. This woman must be loved well. In the afternoon, Yu Haitang broadcasted alone, while Lin Tianhao studied on the side. An hour passed quickly, and Yu Haitang turned off the device. Lin Tianhao began applauding and thumbing up in praise. Seeing Haitang leave, Lin Tianhao is also about to start his layout. I still borrowed a bicycle from class leader Ma and went to Fuxing Hospital. The hospital is located in Xiqing district, more than 10 kilometers away from the factory, and it takes more than an hour to ride. Of course, taking a bus is faster. Although the money is not much, there is no other way. The money in hand is really not much, and when I first traveled, I was worried that I wouldn't be able to use all kinds of tickets, but the least useful thing was still money. I rushed to the hospital, took a breath, and inquired about a nurse named Hu Shi. After an hour, I finally received information from a head nurse who went on a rural medical tour. Interesting. Surprisingly, in Fengtai district, Lin Tianhao had some new ideas in his heart. It's already past 5 o'clock when I returned to work, and class leader Ma was a bit unhappy, but he didn't say anything. After all, Lin Tianhao is usually quite sensible. It was almost 7 o'clock when I returned to the courtyard. Seeing Qin Huairu washing clothes, upon closer inspection, it belonged to a man. Lin Tianhao walked over and lightly kicked her buttocks. Come to my house at 8:30. Before Qin Huairu could reply, Lin Tianhao walked directly to the backyard. After finishing dinner quickly and waiting for a while, Qin Huairu probably finished washing her clothes and returned to the courtyard again. Rainwater was very unhappy. He struggled until night yesterday, but when he waited and waited, no one knocked on the door. It was getting late, and his heart became a bit uneasy. It's so late, do you think? Unfortunately, Lin Tianhao didn't come until midnight. At that moment, Rainwater had never been so aggrieved, and even had the impulse to go to the backyard. That bag of snacks became an outlet, and the potato chips inside were trampled and turned into crumbs. She, who had not slept all night, was staring at the mirror in a daze. At this moment, she expressed doubt about her appearance. Dong dong. Just as the knocking on the door sounded, Rainwater walked briskly to the door and immediately opened it. After seeing the face that she had been thinking about day and night, she turned around and didn't want him to see the tears in the corners of his eyes. Lin Tianhao walked into the room, gently closed the door, and came behind Rainwater. He blew his mouth and ears. Rainwater, I'm sorry. Rainwater immediately softened his body and let out a soft moan. Lin Tianhao hugged from behind and took the opportunity to bite Rainwater's earlobe. How could Rainwater tolerate such a move, immediately like a puddle of mud, without any strength? Lin Tianhao turned Rainwater's body around, grabbed her hands, and looked at her with a burning gaze. Rain, I like you. Faced with Lin Tianhao's face-to-face confession, Rainwater's heart jumped with a thud, his face flushed, and a hint of panic flashed in his eyes. Lin Tianhao lowered his head and met Rainwater's face, only a fist away. Their breaths intertwined, and Lin Tianhao could even feel the itching sensation brought by Rainwater's breath on his face. Time seems to have come to a standstill at this moment. Their eyes met, and their breaths intertwined. At this moment, there is no need for too much words, only the affectionate gaze and heartbeat between each other. Their lips pressed against each other, and Rainwater's eyes instantly widened, causing his body to stiffen. She didn't expect Lin Tianhao to be so direct. She couldn't recall all the actions she had fantasized about and was at a loss for a moment. Lin Tianhao felt the nervousness of Rainwater and gently kissed her lips, trying to make her relax. His tongue gently pried open Rainwater's teeth and explored her mouth. Rainwater's body gradually relaxed, and she began to respond to Lin Tianhao's kiss. Their tongues intertwined, exploring each other's flavors. Rainwater felt her body start to heat up, and her breathing became rapid. The two people's bodies are tightly pressed together, and the temperature between them is transmitted. At this moment, Rainwater suddenly pushed Lin Tianhao away. Her face turned red and her breathing had not yet calmed down. Not today. My stomach hurts. Lin Tianhao's mind was buzzing. The task was already the 4th day, so it wouldn't be impossible because of this, would it? I don't know why even the rain is raining. Originally, it was very accurate, but this time it was advanced. Lin Tianhao thought of something newly painted in the hidden room and patted He Rainwater's shoulder. Wait for me. After finishing speaking, he ran out, leaving only He Rainwater lingering there, feeling empty in his heart. Did Lin Tianhao disappoint me? Because of stomach pain. Her eyes were red, and she was desperately sniffing to prevent the runny nose from flowing out. Lin Tianhao ran back and placed the things in his hand on the table. He had some doubts in his heart that the system knew about this situation because the hidden room items had refreshed with dates and brown sugar. He Rainwater could no longer hold back and tightly hugged Lin Tianhao, his nose and tears streaming down desperately, rubbing against Lin Tianhao's body everywhere. After playing for a while, Lin Tianhao had to go home to prepare for Qin Huiru's arrival, so he reluctantly chose to leave. Chapter 10. Entering the Wrong Door. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. 10 minutes later, Lin Tianhao looked at Qin Huiru with pear blossoms and rain. Being with me, this handsome guy, you make a living. Qin Huiru didn't say a word, endured the pain, put on her clothes, and left with a somewhat strange posture. Of course, she also took 2 liang of pork prepared by Lin Tianhao for her, feeling a bit regretful in her heart. This meat was a bit thin. You should know, fat was more popular in that era because it produced more oil. The morning broadcast task was assigned to Lin Tianhao, who had a northeastern accent due to his past life memories. However, the impact was not significant, and almost no one listened to the broadcast, so the task was successfully completed. He leaned down on the table and squinted for a while. Although he was still young, his physical exertion had been too great these days. Not only did he ride a bike and walk almost 100 kilometers, but he also sang almost every night. When he woke up, it was already lunchtime. After wiping his saliva from the corners of his mouth, Yang Weiman, the temperament brother, had already had dinner with Yu Haitang, said hello, and went to borrow his bicycle. I arrived at Fengtai at 1 o'clock, wiped my sweat, and started searching for a medical station. Fortunately, the medical station is easy to find and will arrive at 1.30. Big eyes, thin lips, and a slim figure cannot be said to be slim, but rather very thin. This is Lin Tianhao's first impression of who she. She truly deserves to be the daughter of the most beautiful actress, but this is related to her future development, so Lin Tianhao can only endure the pain and give up. Do we know each other? Who she looked at the handsome young man in front of her with some confusion. Lin Tianhao gave a faint smile and extended his right hand. Hello, my name is Lin Tianhao. There are many people who pursue who she, but when they know about her background, most of them hesitate. Although they have dated each other twice, they all ended up with nothing due to the opposition of their parents. Today when she saw Lin Tianhao, who she instinctively believed that she was another pursuer, so she directly said. I don't have a good composition, and most people don't want to approach me. Lin Tianhao nodded. I know, after hearing a little about your past, I sympathize and have no other intentions. I just want to get to know you and become friends with you. After speaking, take a black bag off the bike handle. Who she took it over and found that the bag contained many strange things. I'll come see you again when I have time. Lin Tianhao has other things to do and must return to the factory before leaving work, otherwise it will be inconvenient to borrow a bicycle in the future. Who she became even more confused. Although most of the things in this bag were unfamiliar, looking at the beautiful packaging, she could guess that the things were not cheap. So she gave it to herself and ran away. What was his plan? Do you really want to make friends with yourself? After wandering around the village for 2 hours, Lin Tianhao didn't find what he was looking for, and he wasn't disappointed either. After all, that divine beast was not very common. He didn't ask the villagers for help either, he didn't want to harm the innocent. I returned to the factory before 5 o'clock, returned to the radio station after returning to my bike, and saw Yu Haitang's disdainful gaze. Lin Tianhao disappeared easily, clearly lacking ambition. He was also friends with the young master of the factory, and the distance between the two would only get bigger and bigger. Lin Tianhao didn't care either. As long as he climbed up on his own, everything was fine. On the way home, Lin Tianhao was thinking about how to make money. Otherwise, it will take a few months to have the money to buy a bicycle, which will not only be tiring but also a waste of time. In this era of planned economy, we cannot do business. What should we do? A flash of inspiration flashed through my mind, and I thought of someone to visit over the weekend. Now I can only grit my teeth and walk back, but on the way, I met second uncle. Second grandpa. Lin Tianhao walked over with a smile, and today he went back to save energy. The second uncle pushed the bicycle and saw Lin Tianhao's expression, which also understood his thoughts. Therefore, he took the initiative to say, "Let me take you." Lin Tianhao sat in the back seat, breathed a sigh of relief in his heart, and his legs could rest. "Xiaolin, are you very familiar with Deputy Factory Director Li?" The second uncle asked in a gentle tone, even with a hint of familiarity. Lin Tianhao's mind was spinning, and he immediately understood the thoughts of the second official Fan. However, making him an official would not benefit him much at the moment, so he replied. "Not quite familiar." The second uncle was somewhat disappointed, as he had extraordinary abilities. Unfortunately, he only had a high or low education, and no one in the court was able to speak up, resulting in being buried. After discovering that Lin Tianhao had become a broadcaster, he even wanted him to help recommend him. "How can I transfer you to work as a broadcaster at a broadcasting station?" The second uncle is still a bit hesitant, breaking the sand pot and asking the end. Lin Tianhao thought to himself, as expected, he was there when I became a regular employee and asked me to write a draft. He was very satisfied and transferred me there. The second uncle sighed and stopped speaking. I rode my bike quickly and arrived at the courtyard in less than 20 minutes. Put away the bicycle, and the second uncle walked home with his hands on his back. Lin Tianhao followed behind calmly and found a little daughter.in.law who looked 70% similar to Yu Haitang in the front yard. What's different is that Yu Li has shed the rustic simplicity unique to rural people and instead has become more shrewd. If you can't win Yu Haitang for now, then find an opportunity to win Yu Li, Lin Tianhao thought to himself. Taking out the food for the night, Lin Tianhao was a bit speechless. The system is making him offend people. Take out the skewered meat skewers and place them on the grill, rotating them back and forth. Quickly, the aroma overflowed, and the meat was roasted perfectly, with a charred exterior and tender interior. As soon as the salt was sprinkled on the skewers, a strong aroma rushed into every room in the courtyard, and everyone's nose made them instinctively swallow saliva. How fragrant! The third master couldn't bear it at first and walked over quickly. When it was discovered that it was Lin Tianhao who caused it, the third master hesitated for a moment. Last time, it made him lose face. However, the aroma of the barbecue still triumphed over unpleasant memories and came to Lin Tianhao's side with a smile. "What is this? It smells so good." Lin Tianhao believes that the three masters really don't know what this is because lamb skewers only appeared in Beijing in the 1970s and became popular in the 1980s. This is lamb skewers, which are quite popular in Xinjiang. I saw it in a book, so I'll give it a try. The third master tried hard to swallow his saliva. "Well, it's my duty to try this." As the saying goes, skewers of lamb are fragrant, and charcoal grilling is busy. The seasonings are well balanced, making it delicious to taste. Lin Tianhao was still spinning the sign, and from time to time, sheep oil fell onto the charcoal stove, making a sizzling sound. He licked his lips without lifting his head and said directly, "It's not good yet."